Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted massive change in your life, then do we have the once-in-a-lifetime Eclipse show for you. Today I'll be talking with Dr. Michael Lennox, psychologist, dream expert, and astrologer. Today we'll be talking about the upcoming solar eclipse, why it's so special, what it means for your life, and how to use these energies to create the future you desire. That, plus we'll talk about the power of 28 degrees, what in the world's totality, why Michael may be crying on the couch, that means both of us, and why in the world Aries and Leo are so outrageous. Gotcha. So welcome to the show, Michael. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine. Thank you for having me, Michael.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and a mighty woohoo!
Woohoo!
Awesome. So before we dive right into things, where would you be for the solar eclipse?
I will be in Ojai, California, which is about 70 miles north of Los Angeles. It's a valley. It's an agricultural valley. I happen to be very blessed with a place that owned by a dear and beloved friend who allows me to come up on a regular basis. It's very sacred, very quiet. It's 23 acres. I have my own little house. It's very connected to the land. Lots of enormous trees and owls and hawks and deer and coyotes at night. It's very still. And so I'll go up a couple of days before the 21st so that, and I'll clear the decks and the calendars so that I'm not really putting too much out. And I'll just be still and in quietness for a good couple of days.
Beautiful. I've got goosebumps from what I know of Ojai and my visits there. It's a pink valley. At night, it has this amazing pink glow around sunset.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, stunning place. And like what's beautiful about all of Southern California is this notion that, 2 hours in any direction and you're in like another world, whether it's the desert or the mountains or in this case, the Ojai Valley. So it's really a really blessed place.
Awesome, awesome. So do you know what totality is or what you can tell us about totality?
Well, there's totality and partial. There's total eclipses and partial eclipses. And really, it's a geometrical function. It's a function of just how the angles of where the Earth and the Moon and the Sun are relating to each other that cause some eclipses to be total, which means that if there's this penumbral shadow being created by one of the bodies coming in front and breaking the beam of light, that the Earth itself, or the Moon in the case of a lunar eclipse, is either fully in that shadow or partially in that shadow. There's not a regularity to this, although there's a repetition of it. That is, it's not like clockwork, how often it's full and total or how often it's partial. But you can assume that every 3 or 4 years, eclipses are going to be total. And so one could argue that an eclipse is an eclipse is an eclipse. The beam of light is broken. That's like rebooting our consciousness. But from an archetypal perspective, which is what astrology does, it interprets the astronomy with archetypal meaning. Totality means more, greater, total, the capacity to totally reboot your consciousness.
This is when I hear a truth, I start to cry. And I've been known to cry with guests. People don't hear it on the audio version. And I don't say anything because the guest is going to just think I'm completely nuts. But I'm starting right here. There's something about this, and I've been watching some documentaries on this and on the totality. There's something about that event that takes place when the moon perfectly covers, which is bizarre unless we look at this world as not just this world, perfectly covers the sun, and then what is called this diamond ring, the corona of the sun, comes out to play, and this luminous, glowing white light, and the world beyond goes silent.
What's beautiful about the image you just portrayed, Michael, is that the corona is like the essence of the sun. It's the part of the sun that we're actually basking in. And we're always basking in. It's like the father god of the mother-father god dynamic, where the earth is the mother and the sun is the father. And the corona is the beginnings of that beautiful solar wind that even as we speak, is rushing by us, creating us. It's always there. But in the totality moment, we can see it, we can perceive it, we can know who we are from that dynamic, majestic place.
Thank you. I think that's part of what's so special and why I told you I'm crashing this show in. I'm taking it out of the lineup, throwing it in, because there are few, unless you have an NDE, and I don't wish that on anybody, there are few opportunities without using psychedelics or God knows what to actually glimpse beyond our reality.
That's right. Remember, in the old day, imagine thousands of years ago in First Nations groupings all over the planet when the first total eclipses came, and suddenly, in the middle of the day, it became dark as night, and the temperature dropped 25 degrees, and people thought the world was ending. That is a geometrical, astrological, near-death experience.
Yeah. And I imagine I've been a sunrise and sunset photographer since my first NDE, and one of the things that's always striking to me is feeling. It's meant I'm able to see light with a high degree of sensitivity or color, but there's this perception right as dawn breaks where you literally feel the breath of God. The wind changes as the sun breaks the horizon and air rushes past you. And from what I understand, if you're in the right place, you will feel that during that time of totality.
Wow. It was beautiful. Now I'm crying a little.
Which is why Jessica and I are going to be throwing kayaks on the roof of our car and going down to South Carolina and going onto the water, which I hear is not as good for watching the shadow, which races at 1,000 miles an hour, but we want to be in the silence and connected, Mother Earth, water, and sky all at once, off by ourselves during this moment.
Stunning, beautiful idea. Beautiful idea.
So that is the plan, and we will see how universe. So let's dive in. Well, first off, you mentioned every 3 or 4 years, but events like this, a total eclipse happens every 3 or 4 years, but this event is a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So let's start for a moment with how it's not, right? So that we pull people back from the edge of thinking, "Oh my God, it's amazing." I'm subject to hyperbole, so everything is amazing. Everything is the biggest. Everything is the greatest. All right. So that aside, an eclipse is simply a reboot moment. It's just like any. Now, we're talking about the solar eclipse is a new moon, which happens every month in the lunar cycle. The sun and the moon come together, and when that happens, the gravitational pull is so great in one direction that it brings all of the life force, all of the water, and all of the energy down into the earth, which is why farmers planted seeds during new moons, because that was the direction that the energy was going into the earth itself. Every month at the new moon, we're setting new intentions for the cycle to come. Every 6 months when it's an eclipse, it has the effect of rebooting consciousness, that the passage of the shadow in between the relentless sunshine onto the earth, reflecting back the light to it, the passing of the shadow is just like turning your computer off and on again. Suddenly it's running faster. Suddenly all the excess stuff on the desktop is gone. Suddenly the software you installed is runnable and usable. That's what an eclipse is. So from one perspective, this is simply yet another moment to set intentions about what you intend for your life, for your vision, for your time here on the planet. No different than any other eclipse. The however is there are so many ways in which other astrological cyclical movement is participating in this eclipse to make it exponentially more profound and more powerful. So should we break down what some of those are?
We should, and I want to understand why this, in particular, is the event you've been waiting for your whole life.
Oh. So can I get personal for a moment?
Of course.
Well, the degree point where the eclipse happens. So you got 360 degrees of the ecliptic that we live in, and each degree, 30 of each degree is in a different sign. When I was born, the planet Venus, which represents love and the heart, the emotional body, the way we receive information through our emotions and our sensitivity, is ruled by Venus. When I was born, Venus happened to be at 28 degrees of Leo. The eclipse is at 28 degrees of Leo. So that means that there's a reboot, new intention setting, profound opportunity for me personally to have a reorganization of how I live in my heart. So personally, I'm like, wow, this is big. Now, transpersonally, forgetting about just my personal experience, we are in a couple of astrological perspectives that are dynamic and profound and powerful. One is we're in the age of Aquarius. It just started. Now, there's no delineation of this is the day the age of Aquarius started. It's a bunch of differing cycles that somewhere between the late 19th century and the late 20th century and the early 21st century, the ages shifted and changed. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to vibe with that language, just turn on the news and say, oh my God, the world is changing rapidly, chaotically, frighteningly. Well, that's the age change. We're living at a time where the shifting of how we express ourselves as a planetary being for the last 2,000 years is coming to a close, and a new way is coming into birthing and into existence. Now, we won't know what that really is and feels like for generations to come. You and I will be long gone by the time the planetary being can say, here we are in the age of Aquarius. We're here at a time when it's changing gears. Think about the gear shift in your automobile. You're driving and you're shifting gears, and it's like, oh, the car's perspective is I'm moving forward more rapidly, more efficiently at this speed. Mm-hmm. Now for a moment, think about the gear consciousness.
I've just been yanked out.
I've been yanked and I've been pushed, and there's friction, and there's ow. That's us now. We're in gear changing consciousness. So it's a rough time to be a human being. I think it's a blessed time to be a human being. I'm enjoying my life tremendously because I'm here to be in service of this process. So
since this is a how-to show, and we're going to dive more into stuff later on, but are we then, I know from another interview you laugh at this question, but we are choosing to be here in this time so that we can be the changers of the world.
Yeah. You have heard me laugh about this because years ago when I heard that, we've chosen to incarnate at this particular time to help the planet ascend. I was like, oh, my eyes would just roll up and down. I'd be like, what the? I don't even know what that means. They're so hooey. But I believe it now. I believe in the dharma of my experience, personal experience of being here to assist. I also believe, and I believe this with every fiber of my being, that peace for humanity cannot exist on the outside until it exists on the inside of enough people on the planet to create the traction for it to actually occur. Now, why this moves me, Michael, is because I don't know how to make peace for humanity happen out there. I don't. Mm-hmm. And if I look out there, I'll be overwhelmed at the idea of even where to start. And so I wouldn't even do it. But I know how to help individual people find peace in their hearts. I know how to do that. I was put here to do that. So it's like, oh my God, that's why I'm here. I'm here to help peace for humanity come. I don't care how many generations it takes. I don't care how long I am dust in the ground before it actually appears on the planet. I know what I'm here to do now to help that happen. And the more people whom I touch, who have experiences such as you with a near-death experience, and then one wasn't enough, so you had another one.
Give me the works.
Right.
Now, so kind, gentle, easy, good, please.
Right. Committed to the idea of, if I help X number of people have a more peaceful experience of the war inside of them between their head and their heart, if I find peace in that war in a number of individuals, and then future individuals stand on their shoulders, then shoulder to shoulder to shoulder in generations to come, the planet changes, peace for humanity comes, and it doesn't matter when or how long it takes. I know how to participate in that now. And so an eclipse moment that is total, that has Uranus present and Mercury retrograde present and all in Leo, la, 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 it is important to reach as many people as we can between now and August 21st, not so that they can have miracles and win the lottery and have their fantasies come true, because I just don't know that that's going to happen. But it's important to gather as many people in the direction of solving the war between their head and their hearts at every juncture, so that we can create more people who are at peace inside themselves, so that we can see it on the outside eventually.
Woohoo! and that is clearly our mission too. And I'm thinking of the image I was describing to you earlier of the shadow moving 1,000 miles an hour across the earth. That's what to me happens when we heal ourselves, when we dive deep on the inside and we change ourselves. That's the most contagious thing in the world.
Yes. Yes. Yes, because a transformed heart draws that which is either has already done that or is seeking to do that towards you. And so as you had your transformational experiences, you come out of that and you're like, oh, well, I'm still here. What do I do now? Then people and institutions and ideologies are drawn towards you to just continue to spread that.
Awesome. So let's go. Now let's talk on let's dive into the astrology for a minute. I'm going to fasten my seatbelt because, as I told you before the show, I know a very limited amount about astrology, but I'm going to fasten my seatbelt and I'm going to ask others to fasten theirs as well. Can you take us down to understanding a little bit, and then we'll dump into the how-to'sy of why this is so special, what the alignments are that are going on, and why it's just an incredible experience.
Okay. Let's start with the notion of the Leo mansion. And I invite your listeners to dissect the idea that I'm talking about the Leos that they know. I'm not talking about your cousin or the chick you can't stop dating, who's always a Leo. I'm not talking about people with the sun in Leo. I'm talking about in the archetypal society of 12 consciousnesses, one of them is Leo. Leo ruled by the sun, so eclipses involve the sun. So Leo and eclipses are a natural sort of, they're bedfellows. The Leo mansion is where joy, creativity, leadership, warmth, play, children, sex, all of the yummy, delightful, fun aspects of being alive and human were invented by the archetype of Leo.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Leo. In fact, this month is also rare by the fact that there are not one but 2 new moons in the sign of Leo. So right there, that's not outrageously rare, but it is infrequent enough to call it an unusual experience to have 2 new moons in the same calendar month. When it's 2 full moons, by the way, in the same calendar month, we call that a blue moon. Once in a blue moon. We don't have a phrase like that correlates with new moons, but it's just as significant. 2 new moons in the sign. That's as if the Leo archetype says, set intentions to embody joy, creativity, leadership, and a profound sense that life is an extraordinary place to be because it's fun. And then he says, oh yeah, not enough, not big enough. We're going to do this again. We're going to do it a second time this month. That's how important it is, says Leo, says the sun. We need more. So that's one way that this is a dynamic, more profound. And we got the first Leo new moon before the second one, which is the eclipse. So it's almost as if Leo, the consciousness of Leo and the consciousness of the sun is saying, not only are we going to do this twice because it's that important, when we do it the second time, we are imprinting it as sort of permanently rebooted into your psyche through the presence of the eclipse. So every new moon, every month is an intention-setting moment, but the eclipse happens every 6 months is one where it counts for more because we're going to slingshot it into the future. Just like in olden times, eclipses were thought of as omens for the future. You can think of that as still present, not omens like, uh-oh, bad things are going to happen, because trust me, bad things are always happening. So are good things. But the eclipse new moon moment is an opportunity to set an intention with more velocity associated with it in the sign of Leo, joy, creativity, and leadership as your birthright.
Thank you. And what are some of the, you were talking about 28 degrees, and I've heard of 28 degrees before. It seems like a very special number. What's that mean and what's going on?
Well, what's important about 28 degrees is not that 28 is more important than 29 or 27 or 5 or 14. What's important about 28 is that's the degree point that this particular eclipse is happening at. And so in the phenomenology of the other things that are happening right now that impact the eclipse, that make it even greater than the typical eclipse, are because they also hit this 28 degree point at exactly this moment. That's like an outrageous coincidence. So let's break this down using the Mercury retrograde cycle that's a part of this landscape. So if eclipses are seed planting, intention setting, dynamic moments that happen on a regular basis, let's talk about what a Mercury retrograde is. Mercury is the mind. It's how we navigate. It's how we look both ways before we cross the street. That's what Mercury is. It leads us and guides us through life. We tend to be overly emphasized in our thoughts and our minds and our intellect. I like to say the mind sees far and is always wrong. Right? So what
Amen.
Amen. We want to make sure that what we're doing with our minds is just getting the weather. Do I need a sweater today? Do I need an umbrella? Is there a truck coming? Should I wait before I cross the street? That's what Mercury mind is really all about. Like clockwork, every 88 days, Mercury turns around for 3 weeks. And that's the Mercury retrograde. That is a moment where Mercury, the mind, says, wait, I'm overwhelmed. There's been too much said, too much thought about, too much planned, too much intellectual stuff. I got to stop. I got to process. I can't carry anymore. Can you give me 21 days? Thank you. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to go within, and for 21 days, I'm going to process stuff. I'm going to take the stuff that is extraneous. I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to take this is an important idea. Let's incorporate that. Oh, here's another one. Let's incorporate. How did this work? Let's incorporate. That's what Mercury is doing every retrograde cycle. It gets a bad rap because the navigator, instead of looking out, he's turned within. Well, imagine what happens when the navigator is turned within. We trip. That doesn't feel good. So we say, yuck, Mercury retrograde. I'm going to trip a lot. It's like, yeah, get over it. It's something beautiful and profound is happening. We're integrating and becoming wiser, smarter, more whole and complete every Mercury retrograde. To have an eclipse wormhole is the space between the eclipses, to have an eclipse moment and a Mercury retrograde moment at the same time, that's pretty intense. That takes two intense integrating processes and says, you know what? We're going to do this at the same time. That lifts the stakes. But we ain't done yet. Mercury is in guess what sign during this process? Leo. And Mercury went to what degree of Leo? 28 degrees.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! So about a week and a half ago, Mercury was at 28 degrees of Leo, starting his what's called the shadow period, the process where for 3 or so weeks he's going over territory that he's going to cover several times again. But he starts at 28 degrees of Leo. So one could interpret into that, okay, so the mind is thinking about leadership, creativity, joy, all of the Leo stuff. And then he's going to trek into Virgo, where he is right now. As we speak, Mercury has crossed the bridge between leadership, joy, creativity into Virgo, process, integration. How does it all fit? How does it all work together? And then somewhere just up ahead, he's going to turn around and go retrograde right after the eclipse. So the eclipse is on the 21st. On the 23rd, Mercury's going to turn around and retrograde. So right there, that close proximity, like just after the eclipse, 2 days later, Mercury turns around, that raises the stakes even higher. But the fact that at the end of his 21-day retrograde, on September 5th, when he's at the end of his retrograde cycle, he's back at 28 degrees Leo. Which, if you can think of the degree point itself, remember how I asked you to shift your consciousness from the driver to the gear? Think of your consciousness as the circle now to just the 1 degree. It's like an explosion happens at 28 degrees of Leo with the eclipse. And then 2 weeks later, there's another explosion with Mercury there, right at it. It's like a relentless amount of energy in the direction of Leo consciousness. So we're all being asked to step up profoundly and powerfully in the direction of joy, creativity, leadership, and powerful creative expression. So let's just add one of the last big things is our friend Uranus.
Thank you.
Uranus is known as the Great Awakener. He is the planet that is the god. Uranus was the dude who had the lightning flash. So Uranus is the anything can happen and probably will planet. And as the Great Awakener, all awakenings are governed by the placement and the movement of Uranus. In fact, when Uranus is exactly opposite where he is when he starts in terms of a birth chart, that's the midlife crisis. That's when we wake up to, who am I being? And if you do it consciously, it can be a spiritual awakening. If you do it unconsciously, you have to, if you're a man, you have to buy a red sports car. Uranus is right now at 28 degrees of Aries, another fire sign, an exact triangle with 28 degrees of Leo. Fire of Aries, fire of Leo, and a triangle, 120 degrees, is a wide open flow angle. Both participants in a triangle get to have their voice fully. That's the essence of the triangular geometry, is that no corner of a triangle is diminishing the other. That's why in the back of an orchestra, when the little dude in the percussion section picks up that tiny little triangle and goes like this, you can hear that above the entire orchestra, because the vibration that's created by the 120 degrees of that triangular shape of metal creates a vibration that's so profoundly powerful, it vibrates above everything else. So you can think of that power occurring in the cosmos this month, this August, between the eclipse and the Mercury retrograde Leonian direction pointer of a future that is more vibrant, more creative, more powerful in leadership, and the capacity of Uranus to wake us up, participating from the Aries energy of starting it up, getting it moving, unequivocally saying, I am. That's the moniker of Aries. I am. So the Great Awakener in the I am is throwing all of this energy up into Leo, saying, we are, let's get to it, let's have at it. So every way you look at it, there's powerful and profound energies making this eclipse on the August 21st more powerful than perhaps any, again, my hyperbolic sensibility, than any of us have lived through.
So, and I want to get into the how-to stuff in a minute, but before I do that, I'm thinking three-dimensionally here, and this may be a loopy question, but when I see all these angles coming together and I see things on opposite sides at same degrees, I have to wonder if somehow there's a pyramid or another angle attaching to this as well.
Well, what's beautiful about what you just asked is that you're glimpsing what actually is the beauty of astrology, is that it is a 360-degree conception of consciousness. So in that regard, nothing is ever left out, including that which is difficult, that which is shadowy, that which we'd rather avoid. It's like it's unavoidable in astrology because every bit of consciousness is expressed. So in the essence of your question about sort of another energetic that adds to this, I don't want to get too lost in the geometry of this, but let's just say that there's these things called the nodes of the moon,
Mm-hmm.
which are points in space that actually create the eclipse itself. So what is the node of the moon? There's a circular orbit of the moon around the Earth.
Yeah.
There's a circular orbit of the Earth around the sun. So you've got these two circles, one small and fast, one a little bit slower and bigger. But they're related to each other because one, the moon, is on the same path as the orbit of the Earth around the sun. There's a point where they intersect. And that intersection is the north node. And when the sun is in a kind of alignment with that north node, that's when the shadow, instead of going out into space as it does the other 5 months of the year,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the shadow passes between the bodies that are the Earth and the moon. So the north node is a point in space that creates the eclipse. And of course, if that geometry just went for anybody, and you like the archetypes, the idea of these anthropomorphized gods and goddesses, if you will, the north node is in Leo.
Ta-da.
So and I call the north node the great waypointer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the direction into the future is governed by Leo. By the north node, and the nodes move backwards instead of forwards through the zodiac. So we're just coming out of a year and a half of the north node in Virgo, where for a year and a half we were like putting it together. How does it work? What are the details? And then in May of this past spring, the north node moved into Leo and said, okay, now that you've figured out how it works, go out into leadership and make it work. That's the essence of this eclipse. And the Leo archetype is saying, go out into the world in a big leadership Leonian way and start roaring. Well, the north node has a corollary, the south node.
Mm-hmm.
It's opposite. So if you were to take a fire trine, a grand fire trine with the Leo stuff here and the Aries stuff here, behind it, the south node does add a diamond-shaped capacity to this geometry that creates a kite. Kites fly. There's also, though there's, Saturn, the planet of discipline and structure and life lessons, he's over here in Sagittarius, the third fire sign. So there's this tremendous amount of fire where direction says Leo, awaken says Uranus, and create structure says Saturn. And the south node makes it a kite. So kites fly. We are moving in profound, fiery power.
Woohoo!
More woohoo.
So
Yes.
how do we then hop on the rocket with fire, glide with the kite to fly, and start roaring like Leo?
Okay. One thing that I think is always important for people to understand about life and consciousness itself, that I think astrology exemplifies very well, is to remember that consciousness only expands. Time only goes in one direction. It cannot go backwards. That would break the laws of the physics of our universe. The universe, we understand, is expanding, but it's never contracting. At least not yet. Maybe in a few billion years it'll reach its apex and start to contract, and then we'll figure out a different way to describe everything. But right now we understand that everything is expanding.
Mm-hmm.
If that's true, then there's nothing that can happen that isn't in support of the expansion of consciousness. Even if it's something chaotic, even if it's something difficult, even if it's something like a near-death experience that we say, wow, that was awful. But could it really be awful if it's in support of your consciousness expanding? And this is true of losing a job, your car breaking down, a relationship coming to an end, your neighbor suing you. I have a client whose neighbor was suing them because a dog bit their, whatever. Everything happens in support of consciousness expanding. So we want to make sure that in this month, when things can happen out of the blue, and some of them are not going to be, like Uranus wakes us up whether he wins the lottery for us or burns our house down. because he doesn't know from good or bad. He just says, wake up. And if this is going to wake you up, he'll bring that along. And if that'll wake you up, he'll bring that along. So once we're embodying this notion that I accept everything that happens, no matter what I feel about it, as in service of my consciousness waking up, then we're in the right platform to take on this large energy more efficiently.
Let me pause you for one brief second, because I want you to repeat that so that we get our mindset in order of being in the right place. That right and that good and bad, in quotes, is all serving us right now, is what you're saying.
That is correct. Everything that occurs is in service of your consciousness expanding, no matter what you feel about it. That's why practicing non-judgment is very helpful. That's why practicing gratitude. They say practice gratitude and magic happens. Why? Because then we suddenly stop judging the things that we declare shouldn't be happening. Once we're saying this shouldn't be happening, then we stop the whole mechanism. But once we say, okay, I'm grateful, even if I don't know why I'm grateful yet, I'm going to sort of move in that direction, hoping I will be carried into a deeper, more profound experience of that gratitude. That is the platform to begin. The other thing that's very simple about how to steward this moment is to remember that an eclipse is a new moon. A new moon is when the sun and the earth are pulling the energy into the ground where we plant seeds effectively, whether they are seeds that are literal seeds of wheat that we're going to harvest and grow, or ideas in the mind of your own sacred consciousness. In the Leo archetype, Leo says, go big or go home. Woo! So be bold about what you are intending to create. And I would say focus on what you want your life to feel like.
The essence.
Not what you want it to look like. If you get into the world of form with your intentions, you're going to muck it up. Because you don't know what the form is. I would even go so far as to say the minute you fantasize the form of something, you eradicate that even being possible expression of it. Because we are so limited in our consciousness, and the universe is so expansive in consciousness that nothing that we could think of. First of all, has it ever happened that anything you ever planned happened the way you planned it? It's the same regard as the things you worried about never happened. I mean, other stuff happened, but the things you actually worried about happening never happened. So getting into the form of what something is to look like stops your power to create it. But leaning into what you want it to feel like is where the mojo is. And Leo says it's gonna feel amazing. And the watchwords of Leo are creativity, leadership, joy. If you lock into the ways in which you want your life to feel more joyful, or you desire more leadership or more creativity, then you're in the right direction for what to do for the 17th, for that sort of magic moment that happens in the 11 a.m. hour Pacific Daylight Time on August 21st. When in doubt, write it down. Like we are thinking mechanisms. If nothing else, write yourself a list or a paragraph or a poem or some kind of expression of how you want your life to feel. How would you have your life feel if the ways that you limit yourself no longer, drove you? Because the Leo archetype says, have at it, and have at it in a big and bold way.
So is this something, and to add to that, to these things, finding your voice. This is also a time to find our voice.
Absolutely. In fact, the Mercury story, one of the best ways to understand the archetypal interpretations of astrology is to anthropomorphize the planets. That's what they did thousands of years ago. They said that's Mercury. He's the god of messages and communication. In Leo, Mercury says, my voice is big. And he's already done that. He said, a couple of weeks ago, in late July, he's like, my voice is big, right? Then he moves into Virgo, where it's all about putting the details together to honor that big voice. But then he says, oh, wait a minute, not big enough. So he turns around. He says, we're going to go back. So if we honor that, if that's what the planets are doing, then each of us has a responsibility to do the same. If I think my voice is pure enough, big enough, filled with joy enough, and the planet is moving backwards saying, no, it's not big enough, then we have to do the same. Where am I holding back? How am I limiting my greatness? What thoughts and ideas might I have about how life works that are in the way? And you don't have to know what it is in detail. You don't have to figure it out. Like, that's what stops so many people. Well, I don't know what's blocking me. So then let the prayer be anything that's blocking and inhibiting my true, authentic, and powerful voice to come forward and shine in the world. Let it go now. Let me go to a deeper level of appreciating the profundity of what I have to offer through my voice now. That prayer doesn't need a specific. And then lots of people who are listening have specific ways that they know they're limiting themselves because they're afraid of this, or they were told. I had a client the other day who I was sort of baffled at her inhibition she'd spent her life in a creative job, and now she's retiring and wants to paint, and I couldn't understand why she was doing it until I spoke into something about, what did they tell you as a child? And suddenly she starts to cry because her family literally told her entire childhood that she wasn't good enough. And now as a woman in her 60s, she's grappling with this voice, this mind that says, I'm not good enough. She will benefit greatly from the mind going back and saying, oh yeah, not big enough.
So do we, during this time, so 11 o'clock Pacific, it's 2 something on the East Coast, we're getting our intentions out there, but what are we doing in prep time? We've got, when this comes out, we'll have a week and a half, I believe it is, or no, maybe it's a week, to be in prep mode. What do we want to do now?
Got it. So one of the beauties of the timing of us connecting is we just had our partial lunar eclipse. And so we're already basking in the moment where the cosmos has said, what are you releasing? So this last week, the week before the eclipse, is a week after the other eclipse. It's already present in the zeitgeist, the consciousness, in the ethers. There's already a sense of, what are we ready to be free of? What are we now? In a full moon, which was what we just had a week ago, we harvest the benefit and we release what no longer serves. For the farmer, harvesting the benefit was grabbing the wheat berry and leaving the chaff behind to decompose and fertilize in the next crop. In consciousness, the harvested berry is, what am I grateful for? And the chaff is, what no longer serves me? So one of the things that would be helpful in preparation is to take some rumination time, get quiet, get intentional, light a candle. Any fire is good. Don't burn the house down, but Leo is fire. There's a lot of fire in the atmosphere. That's why I love that you're going to spend some time in water. Yes, we need all the water we can get right now.
But
fire is the element of this month. And do some writing about, what are you grateful for? What have you created already that you can stand by saying, I'm grateful for? What might be challenging your sense of gratitude that you want to move towards? I am willing to be grateful for this. I just lost my leg in a boating accident. I don't see the benefit, but I'm willing to see the benefit of this. That willing is a very powerful, intentional word because it subjugates the unconscious mind's capacity to say, no, I'm not. You say, I'm willing, and the unconscious mind goes, all right, he's willing. I can't argue against that. All right, so I'm willing to find gratitude in everything. And then do some ruminative thoughts or writing or expression, creative expression on, what am I done with? What no longer serves me? What habit, pattern, thought paradigm, belief system? And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm guessing you know a little bit about this for yourself, or you wouldn't be attracted to podcasts about higher consciousness. So I certainly know from years of being in process what it is I am ready to release and let go of. And so do that rumination, gratitude, release, and then get ready for the intention setting declarations on the 21st of August, and get still and say, how big do I want my life to feel? What is the joyful noise I can make with my profound, authentic voice for the rest of my life that really makes a difference both in my heart and the hearts of others.
Thank you so much. Now, we've had on lots of guests, law of attraction, non-law of attraction, the secret, not the secret on the show. So people may be flipped upside down and backwards a little bit when it comes to the language of intention setting. And I always challenge people, just like you said, to go to what I call the essence. What's the emotion? What's the feeling? So that it can be for your highest good, for the highest good of all, and something better. So that you get out of your own way.
Right.
How would you, for lack of the correct verb, language this?
You know, the thing that wants to come out of my mouth when you say that is that the power in moving towards the feeling of it, the freedom of the feeling of it, is that it subjugates any attachment to form. Mm-hmm. So as an example, if someone is walking a single path and they really want to be walking a companionable path where they're partnering with somebody, if the prayer and the affirmation is, bring me the boyfriend or bring me the girlfriend, there's limitation in that consciousness because then the universe has to give you the form that you're demanding or not, and then you're in struggle with what you get. Or maybe it's right around the corner, and just before it gets there, you just ragefully declare that it doesn't work, and you abandon the process, and then you miss them. But if you language stuff about, I want my life to feel safe, intimate, romantic, I want to feel touched and exhilarated by life and by intimacy, then let's just say it doesn't come in the form you think it's going to come, but the prayer is answered, and suddenly you feel, wow, the world is my beloved. Oh, I'm getting affection. I'm getting sexual expression. I'm getting all the things I wanted to, just maybe not in one single package. Then suddenly I'm not judging my life as not acceptable to me. So I'm with you. Like, I live in the same boat as you do, that simplifying it down to how you want your life to feel, then the form doesn't matter. Like, I've shifted my consciousness around abundance to not connect to a number of what I earn, but how I live. I want to have freedom. I want to have sheets with nice thread count. I want to eat food that is yummy and healthful. I want to have a home that I adore being in. Now, if the language was all about how much I had to make, I think I would get lost in the universe going, well, I'm not sure how to work with that. But the universe certainly knows how to work with my life feels good. My clothes celebrate how I want to express myself. Mm-hmm. Well, now new clothes come in. Not because I said I want new clothes, but because I want, you know what I mean? So it's going one step behind the desire, out of form. Get out of attachment to form, because when we are happy and satisfied from the heart out, the form doesn't matter.
Woohoo!
Woo!
On the day of the eclipse, for those who can get there,
right,
is there an importance of getting to the eclipse or getting to the totality or getting anywhere you can bask in this energy?
Fully and equivocally, undeniably, I say no. The eclipse is occurring to the planetary being. There's no part of the Earth that's going, oh, wow, we missed it. There's no part of the sun that's going, yeah, not you. I'm only dealing with Idaho to North Carolina. Yeah, the rest of you don't count. Right? So we're having the experience no matter what. Now, that being said, there's power in the collective and there's power in the imagination. And I mean big power, right? So one of the reasons why this total eclipse is so big is that because the United States is filled with people who are connected to the internet, probably more than some other countries. Right? So as a result of the total eclipse being visible in North America, there's more on the planet, more people being aware of it, sharing about it, talking about it. It's not because it's better in the United States. It's because there's just more people in alignment with expressing about it. So there's more attention being put toward it. That's the power of the collective. Then there's the power of the imagination. And maybe that's a bad word to use because I'm using that word as if it is a sacred and profoundly powerful aspect of our humanity. That there's something if you are in a place where you're going to see the dimming of the light, your imagination is going to be fired up more than if you're a place on the planet where you can't see it. So even the idea of going to Idaho, as an example, to be under the totality, that act is intention setting. It's not
Sacred.
about the eclipse. It's not about the shadow. It's about the power behind the motivation to be there. That has power, not the shadow itself. So I'm going to be in Ojai. It'll get a little dim. You're going to be somewhere where you're going to have more of the shadow above you. Your experience isn't going to be any more powerful than mine by virtue of how much shadow we're in. The experience is profoundly powerful based on the psychic intention you put into it. And even if you put none into it, it's not like you're not on the planet.
Well, I'm happy to hear this for one reason in particular, which is there are people like ourselves who are going to go chasing the totality and see what we can do. And if I know anything about sunrises and sunsets, there are no guarantees.
That's right. I hope to be on the planet on the 21st. Still.
And so I don't want people's heart to be broken, to be like, I was there, the clouds came up, whatever happened, I wasn't able to make it, and to think this was my once-in-a-lifetime chance to change my life, and I blew it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is ludicrous. And yet, a common human, fearful-oriented idea.
Mm-hmm.
I blew it. I missed it. It's like, no such thing. You're on the planet. You're part of the planetary being. In fact, some of us have to go and be in sacred space for others. I know that when I go to Ojai, every person who reads my writing on a regular basis, which is now in the thousands of people, they're going to benefit because it's my job to hold sacred space. Like, that's my job. I'm not going to Ojai on vacation. No, it'll feel a little vacation-y because I won't see clients and I'll be in a beautiful place, and you could call that a vacation. But it's actually my job to hold sacred space, sometimes in lieu of somebody else's capacity to do so. And it does not diminish their receiving of the gift. We all receive the gift.
Awesome. Before we jump into some wrap-up questions and a brief meditation, what is the experience? I'm thinking, for some reason, I am drawing a connection between this kind of a global event and 9/11 as events that shift consciousness. And so I'm wondering what the unity is by something so massive as this, just like you're saying, because of the internet, in shifting consciousness together, in bringing us together.
I love that you made a correlation to what we would arguably say, like, one of the worst things that's ever happened in our lifetime, certainly, as a unifying consciousness moment, because it was. Mm-hmm. It brought all of the world's attention to a singular idea. At that moment, a destructive one. At this moment, hopefully, a creative one. And our job is people who are holding high vibrational space and drawing other people to do so as well. There'll come a day when the eclipse and the beautiful opportunity will gather as much of the imagination of the planet as 9/11 did, only it'll be in the direction of ascension, and that's when Peace for Humanity will be upon us. And so they really are the same thing. I'll share with you just for a brief moment my perspective on 11/11/11. Mm-hmm. Because when that was coming up and being talked about, I was like, it's not even accurate. 2011 is really a 4-year. It's not an 11-year. 2 + 0 + 1 + 1 is 4. So it's 11/11/4, and blah, 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 blah. And then as I got closer to it, I was like, the collective. Billions of people on the planet are thinking about 11/11/11 as significant. Maybe not billions, but many, 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 many millions of people were certainly vibrating with the idea that 11/11/11 was significant. So I wrote an article about exactly that. I poo-pooed this, but now I'm thinking differently. The collective experience is profound and powerful. Have at it. Then 11/11 came, and I cleared the day to be in sacred space. When the day came, I was like, I'm going to watch movies. But first let me just do a little meditation, right? So I did a meditation, and I fell into a 3-hour trance.
Wow.
And as I'm sinking back into my bed, I lay down on the bed too, which is not how I ever meditate. I lay back into the bed. I'm falling through inner space, having this really phenomenal experience going, oh my God, the fundamentalist Christians had it right. It's the rapture. What if it were the rapture? Would I be willing to die right here, right now? And the answer was absolutely yes. This feels so good and so blissful. I'm going to surrender into it. And I did. I surrendered into it, and I laid in peaceful trance for 2 to 3 hours. And when I got up, there was a shift, and it was irrevocable and permanent. Like, I shifted on that date. I don't think it was just that date. It was all the work I'd done. I'd done a lot of work in mysticism during 2011. And it just sort of all paid off in one big fell swoop because I set myself up to be receptive in a moment when millions of people on the planet were having a thought. The thought was, oh my God, there's something bigger happening. Whatever the language of the thought would be. But millions of people were having the thought, and I said I opened to that. And as a result of being in receptive space during that collective idea, I benefited. That can happen to all of us in the eclipse, as long as we stay out of form, declaring what it's supposed to result in.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And I won't even segue to our 10-10-10 wedding that Jessica and I had.
Woo! I love it. I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you. What we could go from there, though, is I want to throw on my coaching hat, or actually I'm going to give my coaching hat to you now. I always like people not just to listen to a show, not just to enjoy it, but to take action based on it. So just like you were saying for your intention of 11-11-11 and the power behind that, what one homework assignment would you give people today?
Well, I think we already covered it. It's a writing assignment, and it starts with gratitude. 10 things that you're grateful for. The second step would be, what do I need to let go of? And so if that needs a little bit more clarification, who do I need to forgive and why? What are the limitation beliefs that I'm still saying to myself?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's, one of the things and I'd never thought about this till just now, but I guess I'll have to throw this into the hat. I still occasionally say the phrase "I hate."
Mm-hmm.
I hate when that happens. Like when the screen freezes up and my internet gets slowed down, I go, I hate when that happens. Well, you can call me a purist, but I don't want to hate anything. I'm a human being, so I have that experience. It is still coming up as a paradigm in my thought process. Okay, so what are the mythologies that I'm telling myself or aligning myself with that are limiting? What have I been working on my whole life that I just am not quite done with? So say it's about insecurity or feeling shy or small or not, being confused, whatever it is. There's got to be some lifelong struggle, air quotes, that each listener is can identify within themselves, and put that into the mix, so that we're thinking broad strokes about what is keeping us feeling separate from this magnificent universe that invented us. And then the third step in preparation for the 21st would be, what do I want my life to feel like? What are the big, broad feelings I want to have on a daily basis? I want to be filled with joy. I want to have a sense of freedom in everything that I do. I want to feel unstoppable in pursuing the vision that occurs to me through inspiration. Language like that. So it's a 3-step process preparing you to receive a planetary alignment of millions of people thinking in the same direction.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So on that note, what advice, Jessica, my wife, she's the producer, she always wants me to ask a question about parents for their kids. What advice would you give parents to help their kids during this time?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, it's a beautiful opportunity to foster wonder. What a beautiful quality of innocence and childlike nature that is natural for children is their sense of wonder, which too often gets squeezed out of them by impatience and all sorts of parenting approaches that don't support that, or some idea that if a child stays in innocence and wonder, they're not going to be prepared for the awful, chaotic world that we're literally getting them ready to meet. But this is a beautiful opportunity to foster, nurture, and in fact lift up the beauty of the quality of innocence and wonder. And it's an opportunity to introduce the concept of global consciousness to a child that says, we're watching this eclipse, and so are people over there, and so are people over there. We're all in alignment with experiencing this really crazy phenomenon. Therefore, we're all the same. That everybody, no matter what your color or your perspective or your geography, we're all under the same brilliant sky. So it's an opportunity also to teach unity.
Beautiful. And I can't resist going there. My wife is starting a program. I guess I'm going to be co-hosting Inspire Nation Babies on conscious conception coming up as we go down this road ourselves.
Wow.
How does that relate to the eclipse?
Well, I think if I related to the eclipse, the invitation to you and Jessica would be to let the idea of what you're trying to inspire in others be enormous in its scope. Like, don't be afraid to say that your intention is to create a world where every conception that occurs on the planet is done through consciousness. Let it be that big. Now, then you have to get out of the way of the form, so because if only a few thousand people here, and then maybe it's a few more thousand, and then it's maybe it doesn't explode into the dynamic vision that you want it to be or desire it to be until when you're both like gone. And maybe it's your great-grandchildren that actually create the Center for Conscious Conception, in Sioux City, Iowa, that changes the world. You know what I mean? It's like, be big. Mm-hmm. And so this is a good example for anyone who's listening, that's how big I want you to get with your intentions, and then you get out of form. Because the one thing you want to let go of is, I can't do that. I'm creating peace for humanity, Michael.
Thank you.
I don't say I can't do that because I'm not attached to the form, and I'm not attached to it being in my lifetime, and I'm very clear about how I do it. And so the invitation for you right in there is to, you have an idea, conscious conception. What would that create? Well, maybe it would create peace for humanity because it would bring about a connection between the parent and the child. And what is that paradigm? That's, I create shoulders that you will stand on.
Beautiful.
And if we do it consciously, then generation after generation after generation will birth a race of humans that are operating consciously. So that's how big you want to think. Not just now, not just this lifetime, not just this little show, but the enormous impact on the planet that you're birthing now.
And that's a mighty woohoo! So what personally brings you the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
In life?
Yes.
Oh my God, laughter. So making people laugh and receiving laughter. I'm a big laugher. I'm generous with my laughter, and I want to be made to laugh, and I want to make other people laugh. The sky, the beauty of the sky. When in doubt, look up.
Love it.
Hummingbirds.
Whoa.
I live in Los Angeles. It's a city, it's an urban city. But across from my window, there's an orange tree. Now, the oranges are inedible. They're awful. And occasionally I'll see people walk up to pick them, and I sometimes will run out and I'll say, by the way, those suck. You're going to really regret biting into that. But the tree attracts hummingbirds. And I love sitting here and watching the hummingbirds float by. So because hummingbirds' medicine is joy.
Beautiful.
You better stop me because I could go on.
Okay. So
and on and on and on and on.
where can people go to find out more and to find out more about your work?
MichaelLennox.com is my website. One of the things that I offer on the website during eclipse season is my daily astro alerts. I write a daily column. It's a subscription, so you actually have to pay for it. But during eclipse season, I share it with the world. And so I put that out to my general mailing list, and I put it on my homepage of my website every day, the changing dynamic of the astrology. So if you're listening to this when it goes on the air, there'll be another week or so of daily availability. You can also sign up for my newsletter on my website, where I do send out a new moon and a full moon article every month, twice a month. So I share my wisdom in that way. Facebook is a great way to stay in touch with what I do as well. Michael Lennox on Facebook. I also have a page on Facebook called Perchance to Dream. And yeah, everything about how to connect with me in private sessions is on michaellennox.com, as well as information about the daily subscription.
Fantastic. And if you didn't catch michaellennox.com, then come on over to inspirenationshow.com and we'll get you over to michaellennox.com.
That's great.
So, any last words of wisdom you want to share with people before we dive into a little meditation?
Have at it. Have at it. Just enjoy. If you've never done stillness and ritual with a lunation before, let this be the first of a lifetime of honoring every new moon with intention setting and every full moon with gratitude and release. The earth and the sun and the moon are doing this every month. Why not you?
Woo! So we have got to have you back for dream interpretation. I cannot imagine how much fun that's going to be.
Yeah, it's great.
So would you have time for a brief meditation then?
Yeah. My favorite meditation to share is a 14 chakra meditation where the idea is we're breathing light in and we're doing it through the center of the heart, and it carries through all of the chakras, the 7 in the body and 7 above the body, and I would be happy to share that.
Awesome. So if you're driving down the road, you probably want to do this later.
Yeah, probably.
All right, ready when you are.
Okie dokie. And so I breathe through light to the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light encompassing my heart chakra within, through, and around my body. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light encompassing my throat chakra and my belly chakra in one unified ball of light within, through, and around my body. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light encompassing my third eye chakra and my sacral chakra within, through, and around my body. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light encompassing my crown chakra and my root chakra in one unified field of light. I am this unity of light. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, I allow that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light encompassing my 8th chakra from above my head down to my knees, and allow the emotional body to merge in with the physical body. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light encompassing my 9th chakra above my head and down to my feet, allowing the mental body to merge with the emotional and the physical body. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light encompassing the 10th chakra above my head and around me in all directions of time and space, where I allow the spiritual body to merge in with the mental, emotional, and physical body. I am a unified body of light in a 4-body system. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light, encompassing the 11th chakra that surrounds me, and I allow myself to connect to planetary being herself. I am one with Gaia. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light, encompassing the 12th chakra that surrounds that. Allowing myself to connect with the conception of the atmosphere of the earth, the realm of the ascended masters. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light, encompassing the 13th chakra that surrounds that, incorporating the solar system in its entirety, and receiving the realm of the archangels and the angelic masters. Breathing in light through the center of my heart, allowing that light to expand into a beautiful ball of light, encompassing the 14th chakra that connects me with the source energy that has created this magnificent universe of which I am a part. It is from this centered consciousness that I create my life, allowing everything to emanate through my heart in a giving and receiving capacity to be the best giver and receiver of love that I am capable of being. Knowing that I speak these words for everyone who is listening, we are all unified in this 14th chakra heart-centered consciousness, bringing about peace for humanity with every breath. And so it is.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Michael. This
You're
has been so
welcome.
much fun.
Been a delight. Truly.
Awesome. Got to crank it back up for the finish now. For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, set really big intentions, and then make them bigger still. Just focus on the essence and shine bright. Woohoo! Yes! Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. It was a joy. You're great. Joyful, fabulous. Anytime. Anytime, any subject.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!